So my sister Amanda and I have been talking, and it was her brilliant idea to ask, does Naruto need ninja therapists? Now, Amanda, you're pretty passionate about this topic.
I am the most passionate person you will ever meet on this topic.
I think we're just going to go into points one by one why Naruto needs ninja therapists. Oh, first we should clarify.
Yes.
Ninja therapists who are ninjas or therapists for ninjas?
They are both. So they are both ninjas and therapists for ninjas. Just like how they have medical ninjutsu, this is going to be mental ninjutsu.
This is going to be some therapist ninjutsu.
And also, we do have to clarify, this is not a ninja therapist for Naruto. It is a ninja therapist for the characters of the Naruto universe.
Of which there are many that need therapy.
Naruto could be one of them.
He probably is. He's
honestly, they all really could use a little bit of therapy. However, this is not just about Naruto. It's about all of them.
And really, we got to bring this to the whole world here. So, biggest problem in Naruto, ninja terrorists.
Absolutely.
They're everywhere. The whole Akatsuki, just a bunch of terrorists. And the main purpose of therapy, actually, I don't know if you know this, Amanda, it's to reduce terrorism.
You definitely just made that up, right?
Yes.
Okay, all right, yeah. But in the Naruto world, it definitely is going to be about reducing terrorism. So let's start off with our main man, Sasori. Might not be your main man, but I do really like him. He was, yeah, he was.
He called him my man Sasori.
Oh, is that where I got that from?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. He was the first one we thought of. Don't ask me why. When we were coming up with topics, we were like, what's the big problem in the current Naruto world? And that was...
a lack of therapy.
A lack of therapy.
All right, look. The big problem with Naruto is that all these ninjas need help. They need mental help big time. And Sasori was so bad that he deserted his village. He became a ninja terrorist. He joined, like, the ninja terrorist cult, right? They all wear the same robes and everything. They're a bunch of creeps.
Yeah.
And this is all just because, like, nobody really loved him.
Yeah, if you think back to that one episode with the several flashbacks of that one scene where Sasori built himself a mother and father and then made them give him hugs, he probably would never have become a terrorist and abandoned his village.
If he had a therapist to tell him, hey, it kind of sucks that your parents are dead.
Yeah.
Or maybe if his grandmother was there for him a little bit more.
Yeah, if his grandmother had like 3 classes on therapy and then gave her grandson a hug, the Akatsuki would not have had their hottest member.
We're going to have to debate that a little bit later, maybe. But he needed this hug so desperately that he literally let himself die to get hugged by puppets.
Yeah, that happened too.
That happened. And, like, this is not... I'm just, like, in pain remembering this. Because this poor man was so close to living a normal life. If only he had ninja therapists.
If this is bringing you pain, I can't imagine what the stuff we're going to get to later is going to feel like.
Like, this is, like, a real problem, right? And there are some worse cases. There are some better cases. But pretty much everyone can benefit from ninja therapists. Another big case here, Orochimaru. All of these kids are, like, going along with Orochimaru, right? Mm-hmm. They're loyal to this man.
Yeah.
And is that earned?
Oh, not at all. No.
But the thing is, nobody came to these kids and tried to help them. They didn't have a therapist. So Orochimaru extends his hand and he's like, I'm kind of a nice guy. And they're like, well, I've never met a nice guy in my life. So they go with Orochimaru, and then they're basically just a bunch of brainwashed child ninjas.
Yeah, basically he's like the guy with the puppy in the truck and is like, hey kid, you want to see my puppy? But instead he was like, hey kid, you want to see this human in my basement I'm experimenting on?
And then they become the next ones to be experimented on.
Yeah, because they have nothing else, so they just reach out to the first person that gives them any semblance of attention.
So I think if these kids had a therapist, they wouldn't have gone with Orochimaru, and then he would not have been the big problem that he is, you know? Now, ninja therapists can't fix every problem. Like, we got someone like Hidan. Hidan's nuts. He's insane, and he needs a psychiatrist. A ninja therapist ain't gonna cut it.
Absolutely.
But then you can't downplay the value of this thing. Like, Nagato gets one talk from Naruto. This is basically like a therapy session, right? Naruto talk ninjutsus him, makes him feel better than he's ever felt in his whole life, completely changes his ideals. Nagato becomes like a better person in 10 minutes. That's the power of therapy.
Definitely.
It's incredible. But there's a bit of danger with this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Naruto's not a trained therapist.
Absolutely.
And because of this, unfortunately, Nagato did have his first therapy session and killed himself.
He immediately killed himself.
Unfortunately, he did kill himself immediately after therapy. And this is not like a one-off thing. This is a real trend with Naruto. He tries his best. You know, he makes a lot of people feel good.
And we gotta stop here for a second and just say, it's not Naruto's fault, okay? Because Naruto is trying his best out here in a world without a concept of therapy. He's talk no jutsuing left and right, which is as close as you get to therapy in this world. However, he's not trained. So with that being said, here's a list of people who kill themselves. Here's a list of people who kill themselves immediately after talking. Can't even do it.
It's fine.
Here is a list.
Here's a list of people who killed themselves after Naruto talked to them, trying to help them.
Can I just try and say it?
Number 1, Zabuza Momochi. Zabuza, he was not going to kill himself, let's be honest.
Zabuza was ready to throw more hands.
He did throw hands.
Yeah.
And Naruto urged him to throw hands, but maybe Zabuza would have ran away and lived another day, you know? Like, all that happened, Kakashi kind of messed him up. Like, his arms were pretty bad. All he had was a kunai in his mouth. Naruto gave him a little pep talk and was like, Holmes, don't you feel bad about your friend dying? Like, he like guilt tripped him. He was like, Zabuza, why don't you feel bad about Haku dying? And Zabuza was like, okay, Naruto, I guess I'm gonna kill myself. So he did, and Zabuza died. Number 2, Haku. Haku got like punched by Naruto and then was like, well, I don't have a reason to live anymore. And Naruto was like, yeah, sure you do. And then he was like, well, maybe. And then he threw himself in front of Kakashi's lightning blade, killed himself.
You know how everyone says Kakashi is amazing and like this great copy ninja? Like half his kills were people just throwing themselves in front of his lightning blade.
Is that true?
Yeah, that's like way off topic, but I did just think of that.
Number 3, Obito. I don't know his last name. Obito. Okay, so Obito is like the biggest case of somebody who needs therapy. This man was so messed up that he was gonna genjutsu the whole world just to get out of life.
I think that's what happened. If I'm being honest, I don't really like Obito, and I don't remember his entire plot. If I'm correct, the girl he was in love with, Rin, was actually in love with Was she in love with Kakashi?
I feel like there was a little bit of flirting there.
There was a little something. And then Obito had to watch Kakashi. Major spoilers. Obito had to watch Kakashi.
Oh my god, Rin threw herself into Kakashi's
That's what I was
blade.
talking about.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, Obito had to watch Kakashi kill Rin. And then he was big sad.
He was basically kidnapped by Madara for like a while. Like, Madara didn't let him go outside.
Like, this was a little child in a big war who had a bunch of traumatic things happen to him.
And no therapist.
And then
Naruto talks to him.
Yeah, so the problem here is Naruto tried to get him to address everything wrong in his life all at once.
And it was building up his whole life.
And a good therapist is definitely going to like take things stepwise and just a little bit every time, you know? They're not going to make you jump into all the mess.
Now, to be fair, Naruto was in the middle of a war zone, so like, you know, he couldn't do his best work. And we have seen Naruto do good work. We'll get to that later. But for now, all he could do was give Obito a little pep talk, and it worked, and Obito became like a good guy for a while, right? But then he threw himself into a deadly blow first chance he got. Like, this man was just looking for a chance to off himself, and really, now we've got 3 people, probably more, I'm not even thinking of, that Naruto has basically gotten to kill themselves.
4, because you forgot about Nagato.
Oh yeah, Nagato too, yeah. So 4 people that Naruto talked to, and it helped them a little bit, and then they died immediately after. And like, yes, he helped them better their lives, but are you gonna say a therapist is a good therapist if the patient kills themselves immediately after the session? I don't think so.
And also, Naruto probably needed extra therapy after watching all his friends kill themselves.
We have a lot to say about Naruto, but let's talk about another bad therapist, and you're very passionate about this man.
Okay. So this man, am I introducing the third Hokage or Orochimaru?
Yes, the third Hokage, and we're going to talk about how he messed stuff up.
Okay, this is my least favorite character in the show. Wow. Not only is he possibly the least attractive, anytime he talks to another character, they have issues. So third Hokage, who was his student? Orochimaru, and Jiraiya and Tsunade, who also have their own issues. But let's just dive into Orochimaru a little bit more.
So, third Hokage sees Orochimaru depressed because his parents are dead, and Orochimaru finds the white snake who has shed its skin. The third Hokage comes up to him and is like, Orochimaru, that's a symbol of good luck, aren't you lucky? And then Orochimaru makes snakes his entire aesthetic for the rest of his life, and he becomes a creepy snake guy, and then he grows up to, like, try and kill this dude.
Yeah, so that was an example of bad therapy because the third Hokage, instead of addressing how his students' parents had just died, was like, man, you got a snake, lucky you.
Yeah, nice snake, bro.
And then, despite the fact that he was supposed to take care of Naruto for Naruto's life, he literally never talked to Naruto at all. He did in a filler episode, but all the other times he was like, Naruto, get out of my office. And that's why Naruto turned out okay.
Naruto's only okay because he wasn't involved with this man.
Absolutely. And then we do have to touch on Asuma. Asuma was the third Hokage's son, and I can't remember what these people were called, but he was supposed to like do good things with his life.
He was supposed to be a success, you know?
And then instead he joined the Guardian Gang, where they all wore those red belts and like just did whatever the they wanted as ninjas. So, you know,
basically
his life
became a punk because of his dad being a bad therapist.
If you have a bad therapist, you're going to join the Guardian Gang is what we're getting at.
But then if you look at people who had good therapy in this show, you can see that they all turned out incredible, right? Naruto had Iruka, and then he grows up to be like Ninja God.
And then Shikamaru had his dad, whose name isn't important.
Shikaku.
Yeah, it's not important.
Okay.
So Shikamaru had Shikamaru's dad, and he's obviously the best character in the show.
He became the best character. Good on him. Gaara, one of the characters who Naruto gave a good therapy session to, he grew up and became the Sand Ninja president.
And then moving on to Might Guy, also an excellent character. He had his father, who... Did his father even have a name in the show?
I think it was like Dai...
Might Guy Sr. raised Might Guy Sr. raised Might Guy, who turned out to be a phenomenal human being all the way through. And then Might Guy became the therapist both to Rock Lee, who we know is incredible, and Kakashi. Kakashi really, after he lost his dad, was going downhill, and Might Guy was there to pick him up.
Let's be clear, he's still very much down a hill.
Yeah,
but he's not dead.
He's not dead.
Speaking of people not dead, let's talk about how Tenten, the most disappointing character in the entire series, who really would have killed herself if not for Might Guy's intervention.
Absolutely. If she had any other teacher, they would have insulted her and she would have killed herself. But instead, she had Might Guy, who pushed her along and encouraged her. And then she made it all the way to Baruto.
I don't even know where to go with this bucket case that is Kabuto. So this man was an orphan. Mm-hmm. And his whole life got so messed up that he ended up becoming Orochimaru's right-hand man. Orochimaru, the most messed up character in the series.
Yeah.
Orochimaru dies. This man has a moment to himself where he's like, what if I inject myself with that Orochimaru juices?
Snake time.
And then he became a snake man and started an entire war, pretty much. Okay, technically Obito started it, but Kabuto was funding the whole thing.
Kabuto was there to finish it.
And he got probably the best therapy session anyone's ever gotten, which was from Itachi's Izanami. Anyway, he got put in that infinite looping genjutsu, which basically gave him therapy until he got over his problems.
Absolutely.
It was the best thing that's ever happened.
He basically got to live every possibility forever until he came to the conclusion on his own what the right choice is, which is essentially what a therapist does.
Exactly. And the right choice for him was to open up an orphanage. Yeah. He became a better person. We were very proud of him.
He wears glasses. He really deserved to become a teacher.
He fits the bill, really.
He fits the bill. Now,
there's some characters who you can look at and you can just be like, wow, these ones need therapy. Big off the top of the list, Tsunade. Tsunade has hemophobia.
Correct.
Hemophobia.
Fear of blood.
Fear of blood. She is so messed up. She's like the best medical ninjutsu in the world. Mm-hmm. She can't even use her awesome jutsus because she's so messed up because her lover, Dan, died.
And then her little brother died. Everyone she loved died.
And she needed therapy.
Didn't get it.
And so she can't even be a medical ninja until Naruto kind of gives her a pep talk. That was probably the best therapy she's had in years.
That was the only therapy she's had ever.
Another big messed up case, Kakashi. This man can't even cope with his grief. He's late to work every single day because he goes to visit his dead friend's grave. And the only thing he does to mask this is reading Make Out Paradise. Let's talk about probably the biggest problem child on this list. This is Tobirama.
You gotta love to hate him.
I mean, he's a racist against the Uchihas.
Straight Nazi.
He has legitimate trauma from his time fighting the Uchihas in the Warring Ages.
And instead of getting him therapy, his brother left him in charge of an entire village.
And then we know how that went.
Yeah.
The Uchiha coup got started partially because he relegated him to the corner, and then Itachi killed everyone. So, basically, you could kind of blame Tobirama for most of the Uchihas being wiped out. could have fixed that with a little bit of therapy is all I'm saying.
Tobirama was the catalyst for all the problems throughout the Naruto plotline.
Except the ones that Danzo made, which also could have been prevented if he had a ninja therapist.
Yeah, so Danzo's whole problem is he's a loser. And he was unable to come to terms with that. So instead of just admitting defeat and recognizing that he is not the third Hokage, he started raising children as brothers and then had them kill each other as a graduation exam so that he could make perfect little ninjas. And we've met Sai, so I can't imagine any of the other ones are much better than Sai. So even
Sai was nothing. He was so emotionally damaged. He couldn't even have emotion.
No, I wasn't even talking about his emotions. I was talking about how he's not a great ninja. Danzo didn't even succeed.
Yeah, Sai, he didn't really compare to Naruto, who's Ninja God, Sasuke, who's Ninja God 2.
But Sakura didn't have anything special about her, and I feel like she could have rocked Sai's world.
It's a weird way of putting that.
Moving on. Sasuke has gifted child syndrome. So essentially, as a child, he was very talented. I mean, he was pretty book smart. He had the practical education that a ninja needs and, you know, beat all the other kids in that little sand circle where they punch each other.
He did punch pretty well. He had cool shuriken jutsu. You see that?
Oh, yeah. He got that down
Sasuke
real
had
early.
swag for days. He had, like, all the girls going after him and stuff.
So because he was so good at everything that makes a ninja a good ninja, he was kind of forgotten about by his teachers in terms of his psychological side. And whereas Naruto was always the troublemaker, you know, painting all the buildings, stealing from the shops, and Iruka would look after him, Iruka never once took Sasuke to get some ramen.
That we saw. He probably didn't, though. Let's be honest.
He definitely didn't. And Sasuke didn't have a family. So if Sasuke had some sort of early intervention where people looked at his psychological side, where the therapist came in and looked at his psychological side instead of just thinking he's amazing because he was amazing at everything else, he would have never betrayed the leaf. And then we probably would have never had Baruto.
Can we just talk about how Sasuke's whole deal is that he starts feeling inferior to Naruto. He's been built up his whole life. Sasuke, you're this incredible ninja. You're the coolest in the world. Oh my god, a genin shouldn't be able to use fireball jutsu. Remember that? Sasuke is like the coolest guy ever. And then Naruto is just way cooler than him suddenly one day because he beats up Gaara. Sasuke's like, I couldn't have done anything. Like, Naruto just summoned a big toad. I couldn't do that. He gets so salty from this that he betrays everyone, and all of Shippuden revolves around Sasuke having like a temper tantrum. And
instead of Kakashi doing anything about this, when Sasuke clearly is starting to go off the rails and is like, I'll kill everyone you love, Kakashi's just like, everybody I love is dead, so good luck, kid.
Yeah, he's like, good luck, buddy. He tied him up with rope and everything.
Yeah.
And then was like, yeah, so guess what? You can't hurt me. Anyway, go run along now. Is it any wonder that he went to these sound ninjas and ran away?
I can't even blame Orochimaru for anything he did. Honestly, like, good on him. He saw an opportunity and he seized it. So let's move into how we're gonna...
Wait, I just thought of one more point. I gotta add this.
Oh, add your point.
So, this is how, like, no ninja therapists perpetuate no ninja therapists. Because this is not, like, Kakashi not trying by Sasuke. He doesn't know what to do. This is his favorite student. He taught him the Chidori. He, like, did all this cool stuff. He taught him how Rock Lee moves. And Naruto was always like, oh man, like, Kakashi, can you teach me a cool jutsu? And Kakashi was like, I'm busy today, kid. Right? So this is his favorite student, and he's trying. He's trying his best. It's worthless. It doesn't help. Sasuke becomes, like, the ultimate failure. And then he becomes, like, the laughingstock of everyone when he's like, oh, I want to be Hokage.
And then he puts on the robes and joins the rest of the terrorists. Who didn't have therapists as children.
This is literally just a self-perpetuating cycle.
Absolutely.
So I guess we have to talk about how are we going to implement therapy?
Yeah, so now that you're all on our side and understand that the early 90s universe of Naruto needs to now have ninja therapists.
Yes.
We did make some notes on how we think we could practically make this happen within their world.
So let's talk historically about what ninjas have done to try and improve their situation. Tsunade proposed that they would have a medical ninja in each squad, and this was a big deal. This is a great, grand idea. Never came to pass. They clearly don't have medical ninjas in every squad. So it's hard to implement this therapy. But, maybe it shows they're trying.
Yeah, it could definitely be added into the hospital. We clearly know that they have a good working hospital. There are several scenes where ninjas are incapacitated and rehabilitated.
Yeah, Sakura fed Sasuke apples once. Remember that?
Was she? She wasn't even like a part of the hospital at that time.
No, they let her in. She cut little bunny apples.
I'm talking about the actual medicine. Remember when they gave Rock Lee spine surgery?
That was really good. They gave Neji like the everyone sit in a corner and hold their hands together surgery. Fix this hole up real quick.
So they have a working hospital system. We really just need to add on like a little therapy wing.
Yeah.
We've agreed that each ninja should have a yearly mental health exam. And then if they had a recent traumatic experience when they get back to the Leaf Village, they should be evaluated to make sure they're still fit.
Yeah, like if your teammate throws herself onto your Chidori hand and dies.
Yeah.
After being kidnapped by another village and being turned into their Jinchuriki.
Or after some hot lady in fishnet shove you all into the forest of death.
Yeah, if any of that happens,
like 3 of your friends make it out.
A lot of people died in there. I remember Gaara crushed a guy, and then he held up the umbrella to block the blood. I think that probably messed up Kankuro and Tamari, if nothing else. Maybe not Gaara. He turned out pretty good.
That's because he talked to Naruto later.
That's true. He got therapy.
And then our last point here is we were thinking,
who's going to run this?
Who's going to run this? And the obvious answer is Sai.
I don't know if I'd say it's the obvious answer, but do go on.
First off, he can read.
He can read.
The only other character we know for a fact can read is Kakashi.
And maybe Jiraiya, because
he wrote the book.
Maybe, we aren't sure.
Oh, wait. Actually, kind of everybody can read because they
got their ninja scrolls.
And I didn't even think they did the written part of the tuning exam.
Well, to be fair, Naruto failed that pretty bad.
Okay, so Naruto is not in charge, but Sai is.
Sai can handle this.
Sai can handle this. Actually, my thought process behind this was that one time Sai realized he had no emotions and was like, I want to better myself. And then he got that book that was all about how to make friends. And then he started implementing those things. Like when Naruto was training with Kakashi, that one time Kakashi...
Shuriken,
yeah, was gonna teach him something, and Sai's just like sitting in the woods reading his book and being like, let's go, buddy Naruto, who doesn't give a shit about me. So Sai should be in charge because he already read a book on friendship and then tried really hard to make friends, and it kind of worked.
He's got the mentality for it.
Exactly.
And the temperament.
And then back to the glasses thing. Kabuto looks great in glasses, works well with the children thing. Does Iruka wear glasses?
He does not, but Shino does when he becomes a teacher.
Oh, yeah, Shino puts on glasses. So if Sai just put on some glasses...
I think he could make a great ninja therapist.
He would make an excellent ninja therapist.
The only thing is, despite, being able to read minds, and, you would think she'd be really good at therapy, and she's, of course, Sai's wife, we don't want, involved in this ninja therapy. I don't trust her one bit around any of these ninjas who need help.
Yeah, and we can just go back to the fact that Boruto isn't canon, so we can take that point off the books. Sai is single in this universe.
Right.
And he is the lead ninja therapist.
Perfect.
Excellent.
So I'm really happy with how this discussion turned out. I think we've tackled all the points we want to, and I think the Naruto world, with our advice, is off to a better, brighter future.
Absolutely. And just to wrap it up here, I did just finish grad school, so if anyone is looking to hire a PA, I am available. I have no therapy training. Please don't use this as my resume. Thank you.
Thank you for watching.
Bye, guys.